Hi guys, this is Mrs. Schultz, and today we're going to be working on basic one-point perspective. Perspective is kind of a fun tool to learn how to draw things more three-dimensionally, and it uses a little bit of math, and it uses a ruler to help you draw things so that you get perspective correct. And perspective demonstrates the fact that things that are closer to you look like they're bigger and things that are further away look like they get smaller. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in class before you watch this video, so that shouldn't be a surprise to you when you see this. So I'm going to get you guys started here with some practice with basic one-point perspective. I'm going to start by drawing my horizon line on my paper, and what you guys should already know from our class discussion is that this is the line where the sky meets the ground. So everything above that line is sky and everything below that line is ground. And then there's always a dot on this horizon line, and that becomes the vanishing point. And that's the line where parallel lines look like they're going to touch or meet in the distance. And we talked about how if you've ever driven on a really long flat highway, you can tell that this happens because it looks like the lines of the highway are eventually going to touch each other. And they don't, but it looks like that's going to happen because as things get further away, they get smaller. I got a little mark on my paper over here. We're just going to ignore it. So I've got my vanishing point and I've got my horizon line, and now I'm going to start by drawing just some squares and rectangles. And I'm going to change those into rectangular prisms and cubes using one-point perspective. So I'm just going to outline using my ruler and my pencil a rectangle, almost a square, but a rectangle. And I'm going to look at my square or my rectangle, and I'm going to look at my vanishing point, and I'm going to decide which corners I think go back to the vanishing point. So I'm going to take the way I can test this is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line it up with each corner, and then I'm going to line it up with the vanishing point. And if there's nothing in the way, if there's no part of the box that's in the way of the vanishing point, then I can go ahead and draw to the vanishing point. So now I'm going to test this corner, and it's clear, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. And now if I'm going to test this corner, well, we have a problem because this is not clear. I have to draw through my shape to get to the vanishing point, and my shape is solid, so I am not going to draw from this corner. And then now I can draw from that one because there's nothing in the way. Now, if I look at this shape, it goes on forever. It's a super tall building, goes on forever and ever and ever. I don't want that to be the case. I want this box to have a back to it, and I want it to stop. So to do that, the back is always parallel to the front. So if you think of like a Kleenex box, all the sides of a Kleenex box are parallel, and so we need to make that same thing happen on this box. So to do that, I'm going to line up my ruler right here on the edge of the front of my shape, and I'm just going to slide it back until my box is as big as I want to make it. And then I'm going to draw a line. And I'm going to stay between so this corner and this corner, these lines correspond with that. So I'm going to stay between those lines, and that's where I'm going to draw the back edge. So now I need to draw the top back edge. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line my ruler up with the face of the shape, and I'm going to slide my ruler back. And when I hit that other corner, I'm going to draw my line across. And so now that shows the back of my shape. So I'm going to take my eraser on my pencil here, and I'm going to erase my extra guidelines because these lines actually are not, they're not part of the box. Okay? So now I have a freestanding box all by itself, and it's three-dimensional. And there's two sides that we don't see. We don't see the bottom, well, three sides we don't see. We don't see the bottom, we don't see the left side, and we don't see the back. But those sides are still represented with what we have drawn here. All right, now I'm going to show you just another one. I'm going to go through this one quickly. So I'm going to draw the face of my shape here. And now I'm going to look at my box, and I'm going to decide which corners go to the vanishing point. So I know this one, there's nothing in the way, so I know this one can go. There's nothing in the way of that, so I know this one can go, and there's nothing in the way of that, so I know that this one can go. This one, I have to draw straight through my shape, so that means I don't do that one. So I'm going to line up my ruler and I'm going to draw my lines, and I'm going to draw lightly because I know I'm going to have to do some erasing. So I'm going to draw really lightly, and then now I have to finish the back of the shape. So I'm going to take my ruler, line it up with the front, slide it over, draw my line it up at the top, slide it up to meet the other line, draw, and then now I erase. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of tricky things now that we've got some basic shapes done. What's going to happen if I draw a line, or if I draw a shape that goes across my horizon line? This is going to be a little bit weird because we're not going to see as many sides as we see on these two because it's going to be going over the horizon line. All right, so I'm going to draw my shape just like that. And I'm going to erase my horizon line out of it because my shape is solid. Now, if I follow the rules that we set, this corner can go to the vanishing point because there's nothing in the way. And this corner can go to the vanishing point because I'm not drawing through my shape and there's nothing in the way. This corner, I have to draw through my shape, so I don't do that one. And then this corner, I have to draw through my shape, so I don't do that one. So all I'm going to be drawing to the vanishing point are two lines. And that's okay. Sometimes you'll have boxes that do that. And then to end it, I just line up with the front, draw my line, and now that's done. I would erase the horizon line out of here again. And those are my basic shapes. Okay, can I draw, so far everything sits on the ground. I can draw boxes that are floating up in the sky if I want to. So I can take my ruler and draw my shape above the horizon line. Just like that. And then the same rules that we have been doing before. This corner does not go because I have to immediately draw through my shape. This corner goes, and that corner goes because there's nothing blocking my shape. So I'm going to line up with my vanishing point. And just a tip, when you're trying to line your ruler up, put your pencil down on one of the corners so it anchors your ruler, and then slide over so that you can line it up. And then now I'll end the back of this, line up with the front just like we did on all the other shapes. Line up with the front and erase my extra lines. And now that one's floating up in the air. All right, so your assignment for today is to draw 10 boxes accurately using 1-point perspective on the worksheet paper that I gave you. Make sure that if you need to re-watch this at any time, you can go back through and rewind, and just make sure that you draw lightly so that you have an easy time erasing, and always obviously make sure that you put your name on your paper, please. Thank you.